Now, over here, we will be having an amazing and a dynamic personality again who would be, changing leadership style in financial services. And please put your hands together for Saurabh Nanavati, CEO, Invesco Asset Management. Everyone, a big round of applause for them.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm more used to talking about markets, and it's a first session on this kind of a topic for me. So thanks, Aditya and Sharath, for giving me this chance, and I hope I can, live up to your expectations of what you all were expecting from me. But ma'am, great hearing you, and I'll take two cues from what you mentioned previously. I think purpose, one, and don't bother about the gender. Let it be a larger discussion point. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Saurabh Nanavati. I'm the CEO of Invesco Mutual Fund. A very brief one-liner on our company. We are a global asset manager, and we manage $1.5 trillion in assets under management. It is a top 10 fund house in the world, based out of Atlanta in the US. In India, we have been since 2008, and we manage close to around 60,000 crores of assets under management at this point of time. In the fund management industry, I think one key terminology which came was ESG, and this was way back in the year 2007. So United Nations actually adopted the principles of responsible investing. And while the E, environment, and G, governance, is very easy to understand, the S, the social part of it, was where the gender diversity and the inclusion came into the picture. Now, for a long period of time, ESG was more discussed as a concept. But sometime in 2013-14, people started putting it in action. And I think it was in the year 2017 where one of the global custodians, State Street, actually for the first time went and voted against 400 companies and their directors for re-election, because these were all male-dominated boards, and they basically wanted to see gender diversity coming in. So 2017 was that first step which was taken in a way. I'm just trying to give you a very brief history before I get into the main topic on that on this side. So somewhere in 2017, after that event occurred, it got a lot of global companies thinking about how do they deal with it and how do they approach this issue. In Peter Drucker's words, if it is not measurable, then you can't manage it, right? So you really need to, rather than just speaking of it as a concept, that gender diversity or whatever, let's start measuring it and put numbers to it. And that's something, as a global company, we sort of adopted in the year 2019, when for the first time our global CEO said that we need a gender diversity target. And besides your target of achieving AUM numbers, profit numbers, this has to be a core target in each and every senior management objectives for the year. And this will be tracked on a quarterly basis. So for the first time in 2019 at Invesco, we stopped rating employees. In most of the companies, you tend to rate them between 1 to 5, have the bell curve, and the performance evaluation happens on those bases. But we took a step that stopped rating employees and have quarterly performance discussions. And one aspect on the quarterly performance discussion would be what are you doing on diversity and inclusion, and what is your target against that. So we really set that up as a target, and for example, today our target is to have at least 40% women leaders, not only at the entire population level, but even in terms of senior leadership and senior management across all the countries. So that's a stated target. I get evaluated against it on a quarterly basis. Obviously, we have some unique problems because in places like Taiwan, for example, or Hong Kong, we have a situation where it's exactly the reverse, where 60% are women and 40% are men. And that's where then we start talking with them about the other way around. I mean, yeah, you would have women in finance. I guess there will be men in finance, right? So we do have that unique problem also. But in especially in countries like Japan and India, the diversity ratios have a long way to go. And to that extent, as a company, we are working towards it. But then it also comes down to, what are the specific steps you start taking in the company which drive that behavior? Because if you don't do it, then we can just keep discussing this, for years to come, and it won't yield anything. And therefore, as a company, globally and in India, we started taking steps towards it. So, one is having that number in terms of what is the gender diversity ratio we want and how we can improve upon it. But then what are the specific areas where we can, start helping, in terms of achieving those numbers. So one of my favorite programs, which we implemented a few years back was the Returning Mothers program. I guess the toughest, part is what we have seen in our experiences when, mothers don't come back after they give birth to their first child. That's where the drop-off rate is the most. And what can we do to basically make life simpler for them and make it more attractive for them to come back to work once they have a child? So just at a company level, prior to pregnancy, we start allowing women to basically, go and come by Uber, and at their convenience, and the company will foot the bill. If they are driving down, parking is assured, irrespective of the level which they are at. They have a buddy program where they can basically identify a buddy who can help them through this whole journey. They then have counseling sessions pre-pregnancy and post-pregnancy about what this is. So what has started happening now is we've just started thinking through what are the steps which need to be taken to ensure that this gender diversity, whichever way it is, gets achieved. Outside India, we do have even LGBTQ groups, and it's an acceptance that it's something which is accepted globally now in a way. So we have support systems and support groups for that reason also. So I think my advice to each one of you all is, while we do speak of gender diversity at a very high, at a larger level, I think please go back and look at your own workplaces and start putting in place some policies which can really help you then achieve what you want to achieve as a number, be it a number as a starting point, or the objective, and finally coming to the whole purpose aspect of it, which ma'am mentioned, which is very, very critical for business. I won't keep this very long, but my only submission is that all of us in business, basically we set numbers as targets, business numbers as targets, and the whole purpose of this United Nations Principles of Responsible Investing in the year 2007 was that who cares wins. So if you are caring, if you are inclusive in your behavior, you will win over a longer period of time. and therefore, while we have these very large goals, from a business standpoint in terms of numbers, or even as a country, we basically say we want to be a $10 trillion economy by 2030. I would really like to see a gender diversity target and number, which all of us in the corporate segment put out, and as a country we put it out, and that will really lead to us achieving those over a period of time, because as I said, what can't get measured, can't get managed. So I'll stop here. And I won't keep you all, away from your last session, the most exciting session where I think we felicitate the winners. But thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, sir. That was having amazing on the stage. Over here, now may I please call on stage for felicitation Sarat Singh. Everyone, a big round of applause for him.